Jim and Dusty, for both of you, thoughts about getting this thing done and Dusty returning for one more year.
You want to add? Well, we're certainly excited to have Dusty back. Great season. You know, I don't need to talk about Dusty. He's a legend. And, you know, he's really done a lot for the team. I'll probably beat a few questions to the punch, but, you know, we said during, you know, the end of the season, probably around August or so, we'd wait till everything was over and see what he wanted to do. And we were able to sit down. It probably took about 15 minutes. We came to agreement, and I'm happy to say he'd be back for another year.
And I'd like to add, yeah, I'm happy to be back. I had an idea I'd be back, but, you know, wanted to complete the task that we had at hand, and wanted to complete, you know, the quest for the championship. And, you know, wasn't worried. And like I said before, I really didn't want any distractions. And I'm glad that, you know, we got it done. It didn't take very long. And I'm happy. My family's extremely happy. And then we'll see, and we'll go from here.
Okay, folks, we have requests from the TVs. With the iPhones really high, you're kind of blocking their shot, if you don't mind there. So Christy, and then Danielle, and then Francisco.
Hey, Dusty, when
Yes.
we would always ask you about winning a World Series as a manager, you always said, if I win one, I want to win another one.
Right.
So how do you feel now that you have an opportunity to do just that?
Well, yeah. I mean, how many times in your life do you say something and then have the opportunity to fulfill it? And that's how I feel, you know, at this moment. You know, like I wasn't just talking. I meant what I said, and I loved keeping my word. So hey, man, we got a chance to win back to back, and this is what I'd like to do.
Okay, Danielle, then Francisco.
I guess for either of you, can you confirm, is this contract just 1 year for 2023?
Yes.
Okay. And then Jim, and I will get back to Dusty, you know, eventually, but I do want to ask you about James Click. What has he done to not merit a contract extension to this point?
Same timeline as Dusty. I sat down with, you know, we were quite busy with a Saturday, and then Sunday a little rest, and then we had the big parade, and was able to sit down with James for a little while, and he had to shoot off to the GM's meeting. So we're in discussions, and when he gets back, we'll complete those discussions.
Okay, Francisco, Kim, and then Brian.
One for Mr. Crane and one for the world champion, Mr. Baker. ¿Por qué regresar? Si ya cumplió la primera misión, si está usted jubilado cuando lo reclutaron y venir aquí a arreglar las cosas. Yo sé por qué quiere regresar, pero si me lo puede decir en español, por favor. And Mr. Crane, was there, when you brought this gentleman out of retirement in a very dark time of the Houston Astros history, how do you feel about that decision now that you have become world champions once again now with Mr. Baker?
You want me to go first? I didn't understand what you asked Kim.
Me neither, because I didn't either, because he was talking so fast. I was trying to.
Why to come back? If you were in retirement,
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, yeah.
You won the championship.
Yeah.
Why one more year?
Sí, pero poco no. ¿Por qué no? Está enfrente, you know, de mí, y yo gusta el equipo, un chance para una otra campeona, y yo te digo al mundo, si yo gano uno, necesito dos. Y es lo mismo que yo digo en la temporada.
No, just you know, normally this is a little out of sequence, but if you recall, I hired Dusty before I hired James, and I knew once that meeting was a little longer, but it was a good meeting, and I kind of made up my mind after a 3-hour lunch that Dusty was the right guy for the job, and you know, it was really easy, and to you know, he wanted another year, and that's what we gave him. So we're really happy about it. I mean, his career speaks for itself, you know, and you know, I'm so happy for him. He finally got the championship. We got the championship, and we're in a good spot. That's correct.
Hey, Kim, Brian, and then tags in the back.
Dusty, can you set out along how much you like Houston and the fans, but can you just talk about what your journey has been like since you've been in Houston and what it is that you like so much about this city and this team?
Well, I'm still learning this city because the first couple of years I couldn't, go anywhere because of COVID. And so I felt like I'm still, new to the city, just like with the parade yesterday. I'd never been down Smith Street. I mean, I saw some things that I had never seen before, and I was like, man, this is like I was in a new city yesterday. And so, I've always liked the city. Like I said, my best friend Ralph Garr lives here. My first wife's relatives, lived here, but I saw a different side of the city, than I'd seen lately, and it feels great. I mean, I live in California, but I feel that this is my second home.
Okay, Brian, tags, and then Matt Musil.
Jim, you mentioned discussions are ongoing with James Click. Would you offer James longer than a one-term deal, one-year deal?
As I said, we're in discussions. We haven't gotten that far yet, but we'll see where it goes.
Okay, tags.
Dusty, do you have any idea about your coaching staff and if everybody's going to return yet?
Yeah, I mean, we're in discussions also. I'd like to have them back, but we're in discussions right now, and they did a great job, and they do most of the work. I do a lot of thinking, and they do most of the work.
Okay, Matt Musil and Brian Bearfield. Matt, right behind you.
Dusty, how would you describe your relationship with James Click?
Oh, it was a good relationship, and we've accomplished some good things together in a short period of time, and so people are always looking for if there's some conflict or not getting along or whatever, but that's not the case.
Yeah, even though you come from two different places,
Right.
you're able to meld that and make it work. Obviously, you won a World Series.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, I mean,
the
you come
men's
from
side.
two different places. Everybody in here come from different places, But the secret is to learn how to coexist in the workplace, and that's what makes a successful formula.
Okay, Brian Bearfield, Mark, and then Danielle.
Dusty, can you just talk about coming back with this core group of players that you have in that clubhouse, and what that meant to you making this decision to be able to come back?
Well, I mean, it wasn't that tough a decision, really. It was a very easy decision. Number one, like I was saying, I like the city, love the players, and above all, I love to win. And I see us winning here for some, for a period of time, definitely, because we got a great nucleus. We have a young pitching staff, and this is what I like to do, and this is what I was called to do, and I think God brought me here to Houston to do this, and I'd be going against what I was destined to do if I did anything else at this point in time. I prayed on it, and my answer was, hey, man, get your butt back out there and manage again.
Okay, Mark, Danielle, and then Jose.
Dusty, do you look at this year as your final year, or is that to be determined in terms of your career?
No, that's to be determined. It's always to be determined. Like I said, a lot of times, guys make up their minds and then they end up coming back. You know what I mean? And so everybody said that Jim brought me out of retirement. I never officially was retired. Everybody assumed that I was retired. And I didn't retire, just that my contract wasn't renewed. Now, is that similar to being fired? Or is that retired?
Jim, how important was it for you to make this happen and keep Dusty here for at least another year?
I think it's huge. You can see the chemistry, through the playoffs and how he handles the players and relates to the players. He's a player's coach, and the guys loved him. You saw that in all the interviews, and it was an easy decision. And Dusty, like he said, he'll leave the door open. So we'll see where we go. But we're excited to have him back. After we get done here, like the parade, you all going to have to chant Dusty, Dusty,
Yeah.
Dusty. That was all you heard all the way going down the street. So I want to see if you guys can do that.
Okay, Danielle, Jose, and then Jesus.
You guys have a couple players who became free agents for you recently. I think the one everyone is most concerned about is Justin Verlander. How will you approach, possible negotiations with him to return?
Justin really had a great year. We have a good relationship with him, both Dusty and I and James. I think we have about 4 o'clock tomorrow to a free time to talk to him. We've been talking to him, and we're working on it. We're going to do our best to try to keep him.
We are at Jose, and then Jesus, and then Christy.
Dusty, TUDN Radio Houston. Un año más con los Astros. ¿Fue importante esa decisión tuya, regresar con el equipo, mantener el equipo a Cristian Javier, José Urquidis, Dubón? ¿Fue importante para ti esa decisión de no deshacerse del equipo y a lo mejor reforzar posiciones con el equipo? For Dusty, was it part of your decision coming back with the Houston Astros one more year to maintain the team as it is, perhaps bring some other key players into different roles, but was it important for you to maintain Cristian Javier, Jose Urquidis, Dubón, Christian Vázquez, and other important players that came into this year?
Sí, es muy importante porque ellos están joven, pero joven con mucha experiencia y tienen fuerza también, y esos conoce a ganamos. Y es muy importante. Los latinos aquí somos como mis niños. Y todo está, con mis niños, porque yo conozco hasta ellos está joven, pero ahora está hombres con fuerza.
Okay, Jesus, Christy, Matt, Brandon, and Brian. I've written down.
Jim, in light of the circumstances with which you got Dusty Baker, what has he brought to the organization besides the World Series title? What has he done for your organization in the 3 years he's been here?
Well, the day he walked in the door, he was a very calm and certainly has a ton of experience in dealing. And he did a great job of kind of settling things down, getting everybody focused on playing baseball and winning games.
Okay, Christy.
Had a little two-part one. Dusty, what, after waiting so long and wanting to win this title for so many years, what has the last few days been like for you? Has it just been a whirlwind?
Kinda. It's been a lot of packing, you know what I mean? And I got about 1,500 text messages that I haven't answered, and emails and stuff. Yeah, it has been a whirlwind. It's been, I'm trying to get my rest, because I got to pack and go back to California, and it's been kind of exhausting, but it's been beautiful. And it really hadn't really sunk in yet, kind of, what we did, which is almost like every season, where it takes you a week to 10 days that you realize exactly how tired you are and how you've been grinding, and then all of a sudden, when you stop, then that's when you kind of like, I need some more sleep. And so it's been a wonderful ride. I'm thinking about next year already, like I always do. And so when I go back to California, I'm going to tell a lot of people, no, I'm getting my rest so I can come back to Houston and do my job.
And I'm sure you know that some of your toothpicks are headed to the Hall of Fame. And what do you think about the fact that your toothpicks have become so famous, they're going to be in the Hall of Fame now?
Well, I don't know, man. some people ask for some used one. I don't know what they're gonna do with them. And I know my agent a few years ago contacted them to see if I can get a toothpick endorsement, and they told me they don't need me to sell toothpicks because they're gonna sell them anyway. So that was very humbling.
Okay, a few more. We got Matt, Brandon, and then Brian. Matt, right here.
This is for both of you. Heading into the free agency period, I'd just like to know, of course, it helps when you're the defending World Series champion, but don't you guys feel like you're in a position of strength going into this period? I was going to ask about JV, that was already asked, but there are others that you want to take care of also here during this period, and I'd just like your thoughts heading into that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you feel like you're in a position of strength, probably, quite a few players now would like to join us where they might not have liked to join us a couple years ago, because a couple years ago it was tough to get people to volunteer to come to Houston, but now that things have subsided, now that we're the champions, and hopefully things, will get back to a normal atmosphere around the country, and because it's definitely normal here.
Okay, Brandon, Brian, Melissa, and Kim.
Just on the depth of the team, it's I of all the years I've been here, I don't think we've had an off season where, there was maybe 3 or 4 pieces where they're free agents, and I don't think we need to make a lot of adjustments. We'll certainly work very hard on the key spots that we could use some more depth to add some depth, and we have the resources to do it. So, what's great about this team is the pitching depth so deep, and hopefully Verlander's in that list still, but really not a lot of holes. I mean, the team played great. Some of the young kids stepped up, played well. That's what you always like to see. Certainly Pena was remarkable, and I think he'll get better. So we'll move fast, and we'll try to add a little depth and a little more pop, maybe a bat or two. And, we've probably got one free agent in Montero. We'll work on that, and we think we can improve the team from this year. So we like our chances moving forward. And, again, we had a great year and didn't have a lot of injuries. So that was very fortunate. And, the pitching was outstanding and, timely hitting. So, you can't write it any better than it came out.
Sorry for cutting you guys off there. Brandon, Brian, Melissa, and Kim. Brandon, right there.
Hey, Dusty, you were let go from multiple places where you won at least 90 games, including even your last stop. Since you guys won on Saturday, won the World Series finally, how much have you allowed yourself to reflect on the journey and sort of the fortune of being able to come back and actually pull it off? And then for you, Jim, also just the fortune of, given the situation you guys were in, given where you guys were at, that somebody like Dusty of his caliber would be available to you in a time like that.
Well, I mean, I haven't had much time to reflect. Like I said, I'll probably, when I get home, I'll take more time when I'm walking around my yard and doing things in my property, and then, same with prayers, just thank everybody and thank the Lord for the blessings that that we have received. And, I don't really think about the past too much. I mean, I was close a couple times, a call or two or a pitch or two or whatever it is. I was very close a number of times. And so this time we got over the hump because we were losing in the first round for a couple years, and then boom, we got closer and closer and closer, and you keep on. That's what keeps you motivated. And now we got over the hump, so let's stay on the hump and win again.
Okay, Brian, Melissa, and Kim. Brian over here, Melissa, and then Kim.
Jim, just wondering from an owner's perspective, do you prefer short-term deals for, front office just because it does allow flexibility, change, to maneuver through everything? I mean, you mentioned the talent that you guys have, but obviously Dusty's a different situation, but there are owners who would prefer to have that situation because you're not tied to somebody for 5-7 years.
I mean, we're pretty disciplined. I wouldn't say that we do one thing one way or another. Every year, every month we've made shorter term commitment. It really just depends on the situation and what you need at the time and what's available. So there's so many variables there. It's really hard to say. We're fortunate to extend Jordan. That's a 6-year deal. So, we've done a little bit of everything. So I think we try to balance the contracts that are coming off with the contracts that are coming in and where our needs were going to be. We kind of, James and his group do a very good job of planning that out. Just like any business, you have a 1-year plan, you have a 2-year plan, you have a 5-year plan. It's hard to go a little further than that based upon a whole bunch of variables. So I think they do a very organized job. And our job with that is to keep the product fresh, to win ball games and win championships. And I think we've done a good job at that, the entire team.
Okay, we're going to wrap up soon. A couple more. We have Melissa, Kim, Adam, then Danielle.
Congratulations to both of you. Dusty, Jim was just mentioning about the love that the guys have towards you and the city. How do you feel about that? And also, most of the guys were mentioning that more than a manager, you are a mentor to them. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, love goes to both ways. You hate to be in love and the other person don't love you. That's a bad situation. But like we love. There's a lot of love in that room that goes both ways. And, I'm at the age now where not only am I a manager, but I've been through a bunch where I can help them in a number of ways in their lives during the game and after the game as well. And, like I always tell them, man, you can come in and talk to me about most things, and not only baseball, but life stuff is what really affects your game. It gives you clarity if your life is clear, and if you can have somebody that you can talk to give you at least your honest opinion and honest answer. So, I enjoy these guys. Sometimes you got to get on them, sometimes you got to love them, and that's the whole thing about managing. You got to know when and who to whatever you have to do.
Okay, Kim, Adam, and Danielle.
It's a 2-part question. First Dusty, then Jim. Dusty, you shared how throughout your career you've been sometimes second guessed and people always question what you did. So to have that on one hand, on the other side, to get the kind of support where you are literally hearing people chanting your name, can you talk about what that's like?
Well, I've had them chant my name before most of my life. But also the second guessing part, that's part of the business, but it's also a certain segment of media. There is some, all media isn't, not necessarily negative and haven't been negative against me. Just that you got some people that's how they are and you can't change them. And so you just go on about your life and you realize that you're trying to do the right thing and do the right thing, whether it comes out right or not. Sometimes you can do the right thing and don't come out right. And there are sometimes you can do the wrong thing and it comes out right. So but like my dad said, you study and whenever possible, do the right thing.
And Jim, when you started with this team, you said that you were going to build it and ask people to be patient. Did you envision this kind of longevity in terms of the upside when you started and you were losing 100 games a year?
Well, you go back, I think, at the time I came in, there wasn't a lot of options. The team wasn't performing well and the revenues were down, so we were in a little hole. We were able to work out of that, and, with the help of the fans and all the corporate sponsors, as we started to win, we've been fortunate enough to generate the money and be able to run a payroll up there with the big guys. And so I think that helps, but you have to, take it one day at a time. We're very, very happy we won the World Series for a whole bunch of reasons. And I think, this year coming up is different. So we're already working on what we can do to make this team even better. So really every year you have to take it one step at a time. And, sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to, as Dusty said. And and you got to regroup. But you know, we've got a good bunch of people, and it doesn't just start with the players. It's all the way back out to the end of the building. I mean, we're going to give everybody in the building a ring. We've created a great place to work here, and no matter what you're doing, we try to treat people like we want to be treated. And so we work hard at that from top to bottom. We've generated a lot more revenue, so it gives us a lot more flexibility on the payroll. If you don't have any money, it's hard to spend it.
Okay, Adam and Danielle.
Jim, how would you evaluate the job that James Click has done over these last 3 seasons?
Well, we're doing that right now. So we're in discussions. We're going over that. But you know, James has done a good job. He stepped in, made some good moves. We'll sit down and see where we're going to end up with James.
Do you feel, are there areas of this organization that you feel are better off today than they were when he took over?
Listen, I've run a lot of businesses. This one's no different. I'm never satisfied. If I was satisfied, you know, maybe we wouldn't be where we are. But I press everybody to get better from top to bottom. And I'm always, you can ask anybody in here, I'll pat you on the back. We're going to pat everybody on the back and have a great, you know, everybody get a nice bonus this year. But guess what? We got to come back next year. So I'm always looking to improve, and I'm always, I can improve. Teams on my people on my team can improve, and the players can improve. So the standard is there for everyone.
Okay, last two, Danielle, then Mark.
Dusty, what has Joe Espada meant to you in the time that you've had him on your staff, and how much of a priority is it for you to try and bring him back?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, we're working on it now. And, you know, he means a lot to the staff because he's, I mean, this guy's a worker. You know, like he has one of the toughest jobs probably to organize spring training. I mean, and I think that is one of the tougher jobs that takes a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of coordination. And also the fact that, hey, man, we've had the Platinum Glove winner, Carlos, last year, and a rookie this year, and Pena win it for the first time. I mean, that's work. That's a lot of effort and that's a lot of time, especially on the infield, because that's where you lose or win a bunch of games. And also to have him next to me, you know, in the dugout, I can run stuff by him or he runs stuff by me. You know, he knows when to talk to me, and he knows after a while he knows when to not say anything to me, you know, which is as important as knowing when to say something to you. So, yeah, I mean, you know, we work well together.
Okay, last one, Mark, right here.
Dusty, you probably checked the last box that needs to get checked to get in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you to be in that position now after you're finally getting your World Series?
Nothing. It just, I mean, I got work to do. You know, you can't be satisfied with where you are right now, or else you never get past where you are right now. You know, I mean, my thing is to win this pennant again next year, and then I'll tell you where I am next year at this point in time. And I don't worry about things in the future going to the Hall of Fame, because if I'm going to go, I'm going to go, but I can't go tomorrow. So, you know, I can't go until you voted in, and then you can't go for a few months until you actually have the ceremony. So I'm just gonna, you know, live my life, and I love winning. I'm just telling you, I love winning probably more than anything. I'm spoiled by winning, and so that's what I plan on doing some more winning.
Okay, folks, we got to wrap up now. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Dusty. They do have to run, so.
Where's the chant? We didn't get the chant.